What's up, everybody? This week, when I was going through the most relevant housing market articles, I came across one that's a little bit different. And as you can see, I'm in a different place, but I thought, why not try it out? It's an article written by Sean Bryant for GoBankingRates.com titled 6 Predictions for the Housing Market If Trump Wins Again. I think it's worth going through it to see what he's reporting on, but I don't want to mislead you. If you think this is a political video, it's not. So let's go through it. I want you guys to put your comments below on what you think of the article. And after I go through it, I'll tell you my opinion as well. So let's dive right in. Bryant writes that the housing market has changed significantly since former President Donald Trump's first term. Interest rates have gone from historic lows to levels we haven't seen for more than a decade. If Trump wins a second term as president, his policies could positively and negatively impact the housing market. The first thing Bryant writes about is potentially lowering interest rates. So this is what he said, and then we'll discuss it. Over the past few years, the Federal Reserve has increased interest rates to slow rising prices. This has led to higher mortgage rates, which could change under a Trump presidency. While the president does not directly control interest rates, the administration's fiscal policy can influence inflation and economic growth. Trump could pressure the Federal Reserve to keep interest rates low to support economic growth, which he did during his first term. However, just because Trump wants lower interest rates, it doesn't mean that will happen. Interest rates also depend on the economic conditions and the Federal Reserve's independent assessment. Next up, less regulation could have positives and negatives. Trump is overtly against excessive government regulations on the economy. If Trump were president again, he would likely loosen regulations on businesses and consumers. This could mean more relaxed lending standards and potentially lower mortgage costs. This could lead to increased demand for housing, since it would be easier for people to purchase homes. However, too much deregulation can also come with risks. For example, borrowers can be approved for loans that they can't really afford to pay back. Since this was one of the contributing factors in the 2008 financial crisis, it worries some financial experts. I gotta say, this kind of worries me as well, because if we are too deregulated, it could cause lenders to start going after the most vulnerable people. They can't really afford to buy a house, but make them think they can, which eventually leads them into trouble. You guys tell me what you think. Let's move on. Next up is tax policy changes. Shortly after Trump became president, he worked with Congress to pass the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which introduced significant changes to the U.S. tax code. Several key tax provisions are set to expire in 2025, and Trump has already said that he plans to make some of them permanent if he is reelected. Some of these tax cuts or modifications could affect the real estate market. This could include an interest deduction cap on mortgages and changes to capital gains tax. Trump is pro-business and consistent with what we saw in his first term. We expect deregulation and tax cuts to amplify the trend we're already seeing of single-family home ownership being purchased by investors, not individuals, said Amanda Orson, founder and CEO of Galleon. I think we can all agree we don't need more investors buying all the homes. They need to be available for people, for families who want the dream of home ownership. The next thing he writes about is trade policies and housing prices. Here's what he said. When Trump was president, he launched a trade war with China. He has said that if he is reelected, he wants to rekindle and expand the tariffs and negotiations with trade partners. These trade policies can have wider economic effects that indirectly impact the housing market. Tariffs may increase the cost of home construction materials, making new home construction and remodels more expensive or causing delays in timelines. I gotta be honest, I don't know enough about trade policies and tariffs to really comment on this. I do know that we certainly do not need new construction materials to be more expensive to then cause home prices to be more expensive, nor do we need delays in materials, because once again, that'll cause the prices to go up. So if you guys out there know more about these trade policies and tariffs, definitely comment below. I just don't know enough to really comment about it. So let's move on. Infrastructure and development. During his campaign, Trump said, "We are gonna fix our inner cities and rebuild our highways, bridges, tunnels, airports, schools, and hospitals. And we will put millions millions of our people to work as we rebuild it. If Trump does focus on infrastructure and development, it could potentially lead to an increase in housing supply, property values, or buyers and investors in revitalized areas. It's a pretty small blurb he wrote about this, so really not enough to comment on. I mean, sure, it'd be great if our cities cities were built more and more people were at work and the housing supply increased. That all happens. That sounds really great, but let's see what else he's got to say. Okay, affordable housing. According to Freddie Mac, the housing shortage in the United States increased by 52% from 2018 to 2020, reaching a shortfall of 3.8 million units. While Trump seems focused on existing homeowners, his previous policies do not focus on building more affordable housing or preserving existing affordable housing. If he is elected to a second term, the affordable housing shortfall could continue to widen. I mean, they only talk about up till 2020. We still have a housing shortage even now in 2024, and it hasn't really gotten better over the last 4 years. I don't really see it changing in the next 4 years, regardless of who's president, to be honest. I mean, we need to either build more houses, lower interest rates so sellers can feel comfortable selling their homes and not losing so much on their interest rate, or come up with another solution about getting more housing units. But in my opinion, and you guys tell me what you think, I don't think either president next election will make that big a difference in our housing shortage supply. But what do you guys think? So those were his 6 main points, but he has another paragraph on other factors. So let's go through them quickly. There are other factors that the president doesn't have control over, which could affect the housing market. Things like the unemployment rate or geopolitical events. For example, if unemployment rises and consumers start spending less, the country could start trending toward a recession under Trump. The Fed would then cut interest rates to stimulate the economy, leading to lower mortgage rates. However, if unemployment decreases under Trump, housing prices could continue to increase. Existing homeowners with low rates will be unmotivated to sell, and new homeowners will face low inventory. Once again, this could happen under either president. So I don't really think this is a Trump or a Biden thing. I think this is an economy and an employment thing. But what do you guys think? There's one more thing, so let me get through it. Like tariffs, foreign wars could also disrupt the trade of resources needed for home construction and renovation. A second term with Donald Trump as president could stimulate the housing market through lower interest rates, less regulation, and tax policies that favor property owners and investors. However, a second Trump term could also bring risky deregulation policies, increased construction costs due to trade tariffs, and less affordable housing. So I think that Sean Bryant, in writing this article, does a good job of kind of looking at both sides of if Trump gets reelected, what could possibly happen that would affect our housing market. And I can see both sides, but I think that our problems are kind of bigger than who is the next president. You know, I think we have a housing shortage, unaffordable housing due to high interest rate and high home prices. And this is just causing a lot of chaos in the housing market by just not having enough supply for buyers who do want to buy a home to be able to do that and actually afford to do that. So I think there's much bigger issues at hand, and I don't know if one president over the other would solve these problems. Some things I think would be better with less regulations, and some things I think will be better with lower interest rates and more regulations so people don't get loans that they can't afford. But I really want to know what you guys think. So comment below, go through each of the points that he spoke about. Remember, they're his points, not mine. And let's discuss it. What do you guys think of this article? I gotta run. As you can see, I am away with my family on our beach vacation in Delaware. So I want to get back to the beach and back to my family, but I didn't want to miss a week of giving you something, so I hope this was okay. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Bye!